My name is Shahan Chararudi. I'm studying in Bcom FNA, Section D, and I'm going to discuss about Priyadarshani Matto case. Priyadarshani was an LLB student at Delhi University. She had a senior there named Santhosh Singh, who has already completed LLB and he was an advocate. So after meeting Priyadarshani, he started to have a one-sided love with her. And he started troubling her, following her, harassing her. And he might have had this courage to do this because his father was a senior IPS officer and himself he was an advocate. So he might have the thought that he can break any law. So, like that, on 23rd January 1996, this Santhosh Singh reached Priyadarshani's house. He knocked on the door and said that he is here to offer a settlement. So 1996 is actually 2 years after their first meeting. So within these 2 years, he had been troubling her a lot, harassing her. So Priyadarshani complained about him to police three times, thrice. Yet there was no action taken. He was simply asked to come and write an apology letter, and he was left. He was left free. So each time he was having more courage, gaining more courage that he can break the law because no action was taken against him. And the only benefit that Priyadarshini got from complaining was she got a police guard with her. His name was Rajendra Singh. He was a sub-inspector. So she had a police guard with her, but on that unfaithful day, he was not with her. So Priyadarshini was alone in her house, and that's when Santhosh Singh came. So he knocked and told that he had come to offer a settlement. So hearing this, she might have opened the door and would have let him in. And there was a neighbor next in the next house. His name is Kubbuswamy. So he witnessed Santhosh Singh entering the house. And also Priyadarshini had a servant named Virender Singh, but he was not there at the house during that time. He was running an errand. So Santhosh Singh got inside house. He raped Priyadarshini and then hit her on her face with his helmet a lot of times and then strangled her to death. So she was raped and murdered. Then he pushes the body under the bed and he just flees the scene. He just escapes the scene. Later in evening, Rajendra Singh, the guard, he comes to Priyadarshini's house. He sees that the front gate is closed, so he goes behind the house. The back door is open, wide open. Anybody could have entered or left. He enters the house. He finds the body. He informs. So FIR was filed against an unknown person. That was the starting of the negligence and the irresponsibility of our system. Because it took 14 years after that for finally the justice to be served. And let me tell about that. So, Priyadarshini's parents obviously told about Santhosh Singh and the investigation started, but the investigation was done by the police. So, Priyadarshini's father Jamanlal Singh Mattooo told this in the court that since Santhosh Singh's father was an IPS officer, he wanted CBI to investigate this case and not the police, and the court allowed it. But although the CBI took over the case, the way how they handled the case, how they conducted the investigation was almost the same, ignorant. And finally, in 1999, after 3 years, Sessions judge made this statement, which is that he knows that the person here is the one guilty. The Sessions judge knows that Santhosh Singh is guilty, but he is helpless because there is only benefit of doubt against Santhosh Singh and there is no evidence against him. There were 50 witnesses. There were 50 witnesses and including Priyadarshani's classmates who confirmed that Santhosh Singh had his motive. And there was also Kubuswamy who witnessed Santhosh Singh entering the house, but his statement was not even recorded by CBI. And the servant Virender Singh, who was in his hometown, CBI told that he was nowhere to be found. He was not able to be found. So the investigation was not going in the proper way. And most importantly, the DNA test. With section 293 in the Code of Criminal Procedures 1973, CRPC 1973, and section 45 in the Indian Evidence Act 1872, DNA report can be considered as an important evidence. But as per the DNA report, it was very obvious that Santhosh Singh is the one who raped Priyadarshani. But CBI told that it was a mismatch. It was a mistake. The blood DNA report of Santhosh Singh, which he gave in the lab, by mistake got mismatched with this. That was how it was presented. So there were no evidences against him. And so the court did not accept the DNA report, and at last Sessions Court trial resulted in an acquittal, which means Santhosh Singh was not guilty, he was let free. But this didn't end here. With people and media's influence, this case continued. An appeal was made in High Court in 2000 itself. The next year itself, an appeal was made in High Court. But after that appeal was made, it took 6 years for the case to be finally considered in the court. And during the 6 year, another case also happened, which is Jessica Lal murder case. So even in Jessica Lal murder case, the person who was accused was acquitted. So another a person accused was acquitted in Jessica Lal murder case, and also the Santhosh Singh was acquitted, and also Santhosh Singh's case, the Priyadarshani Mattoo case, was not being considered for 6 years. So with all these things, the people got furious, the public got furious, and that was why the court had to consider this case again, Priyadarshani Mattoo case. And it was considered, and the High Court commenced its hearing of this case, and that too in a very special, extraordinary way, because the hearing was every day. There were hearing for every day in the court for continuously, and after 42 days of hearing. So after one hearing, the next day, the next hearing. Like that, after 42 days of hearing, the judgment came. So the judgment was that the acquittal, which was in Sessions Court, was now a death sentence. Yes, the judgment was to punish Santhosh Singh with death sentence. Now, somewhat the justice was served. But the accused party obviously did not agree to this, and did not agree with it, and made appeal to the Supreme Court. Under section 379 of CRPC, a person who was charged with death sentence in High Court can make appeal in Supreme Court. So he made, and in 2010 Supreme Court decided the final judgment, which is that anyway he was the one guilty, he is the one guilty, but death sentence was changed to life imprisonment. So that's where the case ended. After 14 years, finally the justice was served. And two important names have to be mentioned here, which is first Jamanlal Singh, Priyadarshini's father, who although was a normal, ordinary man, but he fought for her daughter, his daughter. He fought for his daughter with the help of people, with the help of media, and also media, who played a great role in this case in a very positive manner. Only because of these two people, her father and the media together, they were able to bring justice to Priyadarshini, and that is Priyadarshini Matto's case. Thank you.